every business is going to have a certain amount of technology to exist, period, in the future. And the real question is just, how are they going to prefer to buy it, and who are they going to prefer to buy it from? And the way I like to think about it is...
Welcome back to Agency Masters. I'm Robb, and this podcast is where I share the strategies, systems, and insights I've gained from selling my own agency and helping over 20,000 digital agencies grow and do the same. My hope is that the content here is valuable to you along your journey and that you share, review, and enjoy. Hey everybody, Robb here. Welcome to the podcast. Today I have a very special guest. His name is Shaun Clark. He is the co-founder and CEO of GoHighLevel software. Welcome, Shaun.
Hey, thanks for having me. Good to be here.
No problem, man. It's always good to talk to you. I know we get to talk quite a bit, and I'm super excited for that. For those of you that don't know, I'm basically I think the official title is I'm now a GoHighLevel ambassador, brand ambassador, and I'm also one of their...
I think of you as an OG, really. Maybe the OG, in fact.
That's very kind of you. So I have been with HighLevel since the beginning. I started helping promote them and using their software myself in their beta phase. And that was 5+ years ago, I guess now. So it's been a really fun ride to see you guys start from absolutely nothing and grow it to where it is now. Let me just tell everybody how quickly this company has grown and this software platform has grown. So GoHighLevel is a platform built for agencies. It's a white label platform that any agency can put their brand on and use as their own. And so it's meant for agencies who specifically help local businesses, but other business types as well. And in just over 5 years, Shaun, you have grown the company to 600 plus employees. 30,000 agencies are using the platform. 600,000 small businesses are using the system underneath an agency. Do I have that correct?
That's right.
Okay. So, and then you've got a total of 3 million users, which you just described to me as logins from the small businesses. So a lot of small businesses have employees. So you've got multiple logins for their team members, their employees, their staff, whatever the case may be. So 3 million users logging in.
Correct.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
You also got a round of funding last year, which, is nothing to, that's pretty good. It's
Yeah.
So,
it wasn't bad at all.
Yeah, so you guys are growing like crazy, hiring like crazy, got tons of adoption rates. I think your Facebook group is up to like 38,000 people in the Facebook group now. It's just taking
You're
off.
probably right. I haven't checked that number in a while, but I do need to go back and look.
Yeah. So I used to think that I helped. So since I was there at the beginning, I started training people. I was your very first affiliate or reseller. And I thought it was a lot to have trained, like maybe at one point it was 10,000. I think we crossed like the 20,000 mark between helping people for free and in some of our paid coaching programs and mentorship programs. I used to think that was a lot, but apparently,
it is a lot.
Well, it is, but it's growing faster than I can help people. It's just
I think it's that you can't magnify yourself any farther than you already have. Otherwise, you would have, right? I mean, that's like right. I think like trying to drink from a fire hose. But yeah, I mean, for those of you who don't know the real story, I mean, like we wouldn't be here without Robb Bailey. I mean, he was the first person to ever, take us under his wing. He stuck his neck out for us when nobody else, did, and he certainly didn't have to. And we were at his mastermind, and he let us take it over. And it was amazing. And we truly would not be here without you. So we're forever grateful. I'm certainly forever grateful.
Oh, happy to. Well, I got to tell you, it wasn't just because I like you guys, and I love you guys actually, but it wasn't just that. I mean, you guys created a tool that saved me. So I always tell the story to people because it's important. We were running the playbook or the model that we're getting ready to tell people about, which is a great model to run. But before there was any sort of software tool or SaaS platform that was built for the agency owner, we were using tools like Scipio. And Scipio, for those of you that don't know, is just a two-way business texting platform. That's all it does. It has no agency features. And at the time I was helping, we helped like 535 fitness locations. They were mostly studios. So CrossFit boxes, yoga studios, kickboxing studios, things like that. And we helped like 535 of those locations all across the US and Canada in just under 2 years. But every time we assigned a client, we signed up for a new Scipio account. And so our Scipio bill was like $44,000 a month at its peak. And in your beta phase, you replace that bill with a $300 a month unlimited agency plan on your software platform. So you literally put like 44 grand a month back in my pocket minus $300. It was incredible, just mind blowing. And it was a better tool too, a way better tool. So, that's how we kicked this relationship up. I had a good reason to be excited about it and to help you promote it and to buy in early and all that good stuff. So pat yourself on the back for that, because right out of the gate, the first feature you built just crushed the two-way SMS stuff from an agency perspective. So you got to feel good about that. It wasn't,
but we didn't know about that opportunity, right? Until we got to meet you and to meet other people like you. And it was fascinating to see. But, I think that's a really good example, right, of like why we're different and how we became different, which is every other software platform sort of sees everybody agnostically. They're not recognizing that the SMB and the agency are radically different folks and have radically different capabilities, but also radically different needs. And so we early on realized that like the agency was really truly the person, like in your case, think about it, like you were helping over 500 individual studios. And there's a reason why, right? Because the solution you developed was so much better than what they were already doing that they were like throwing money at you to try to help them. And that was the point where we're like, well, wait a second. Not only is, we need to build a tool for Robb, because Robb's got a true methodology to help in that case, the kickboxing studio, I think, do a better job growing their business than they could otherwise do by themselves, and certainly could otherwise do by simply just buying a tool, right? And so that's kind of why we came into the world differently.
Absolutely. So, the software that enabled us to do that was still worth it to do it manually at like one account at a time, meaning we had to log into each location's account, check the messages, respond to the texts, try to book them in to come into the location so they could, possibly sign up for a membership. And we would log in and out of as fast as we could to answer everything, and then go back to the beginning and go, okay, it's been 5 or 10 minutes. Let's log on to the first one again and keep going, right? So you guys solve that immediately by streamlining everything into this sort of centralized inbox so we could see the responses in real time across all of our client locations. So one operator could do the job of like 5 or 10, like right out of the gate. It was amazing, right? So that lifted a lot of ceilings for us as the agency owner, and we were able to help more locations. I was able to sell that agency shortly after that. And that's when I began sort of full-time coaching and training agency owners on how to increase their ceiling or their capacity while taking home more, like better profit margins with less time from the agency owner and their team, right? Less inputs needed, less time spent to get the same or better result. And so that grew really, really quickly over the last 5 years. And so maybe we can talk about that model, because I think that's still a big agency trap, which is folks are either stuck, like agency owners are either stuck trading time for money, which is basically like a glorified job, right? And typically a lot of people who are very skilled are still stuck in that trap, right? They're undercharging for what they need out of it as the business owner being an agency. And the clients are sort of treating it like, well, we're just going to like rent your employees, right? Ask me how I know that. That was my very first agency. So before the Successful Fitness Agency, I ran one, and that's exactly what happened to us. And there was no profit.
100%.
Yeah. So very common problem in our industry, right? So maybe can you talk about how agency owners are finding more leverage through the tool and the model? Because it says it right there on your shirt. If you're a SaaSpreneur, you get this beautiful, leverage and these near unlimited profit margins. I mean, almost 100% with per unit that you sell to your clients now, right? And so you're using the tool, and you're also using a new methodology to either hybridize or completely become your own brand of SaaS, right?
Absolutely.
100%. Did I describe that correctly?
Yeah, you did a great job. And it's funny. I love that you said like some of the most skilled people are the most stuck, because that's true, right? Because they just can't give up the fact that they're really good at what they do. But yeah, so like fundamentally, I think you sort of zoom back and you think like, okay, models matter, right? So if you're a service business, like what does that mean? Well, that means that you're providing a service, but that also tends to be super laborious and time consuming and expensive. And that's why, by the way, if you think about like people who get like venture capital or investments, never service businesses, because they don't scale, right? Now, the problem on the other end is a software business. Sure, it's gets VC, but the reality is the reason is the problem. It's just a tool, so it's like a hammer or a saw or whatever. So, as an agency, if you just ask yourself like, what am I trying to achieve? the answer is I'm trying to help my customer grow. Trying to help my customer get more customers, get higher ranks on Google, this and that. And it's the how that really fundamentally should change, right? So today, how you're doing that is creating custom bespoke things. You're spending copious amounts of hours creating them from scratch. And in reality, they not only do they probably not need that level of service, they certainly don't appreciate it. And that's the other big problem. So going back to the original model we came into, it was all, oh, it's $2,000 a month plus ad spend. I'll run ads for you and create customers. And the problem is that it didn't matter if you were crushing it or you were doing a terrible job, you were going to get fired. In fact, I talked to a lot of agency owners that they would get fired because they did too good of a job. Like the person on the other side, like, oh, you know what? You've racked my calendar so much. I have no more capacity. I'm so sorry, but you're fired. So we knew that model just didn't work and didn't scale. So what we decided is, okay, how can we fix this? And what we discovered, and I want to be really careful about, I want to be really truthful about this. We stole this from our customers. We didn't even invent this model. We didn't come up with this idea. I literally got it from talking to thousands of agencies, and we found agencies who are literally selling HighLevel as really the solution each month to solving that same problem. And let me be really clear on this, because I also stole this from Robb. He always says, sell the hole, not the drill. And what he means by this is, you don't sell the tools. So as an agency, you use the tools, the tools, but it's sort of like saying, I need to get my house remodeled. You don't, if you're a house remodel, you don't talk about like your brand of screwdriver or the saw that you use or anything else. That would be silly, right? No one would think that. You just want the outcome. Well, again, as an agency, focus on those outcomes, but the tool, the method that you use is now a technology-enabled method, not a service-enabled method. And the big difference is that you have a much higher profit margin, you have a much more scalable system, and you also are able to offer it at a much lower price point that is sustainable for your clients, right? And so, and a really easy example, a lot of people, when I describe this, it feels very amorphous, and I get it, but they ask like, well, what's a really specific thing that you would do? And I always like to use the idea of missed call text back. So that's a feature, and it's pretty simple how it works. You call the business owner, and I always say, hey, have you ever called a business wanting to buy the product or the service and they don't pick up? And everyone can say yes to that. And what happens in this case is when you call and they miss the call, now it automatically texts them back, and you can do things like say, hey, we're currently out working with a client. Do you need to book an appointment? And someone says, yes, I do. And now you can over text automate that booking and bring that person whose call was missed all the way back to a booked appointment for that business owner. And right there, if you just did that one thing for every business, I can speak, at least in the United States today, you would make easily more than $300 a month, which is what I would recommend you charge them for that. And right there, you have a massive business. And so we're talking about one feature for every business. And you can see right there, it's very scalable. It cross applies to many people, and you're not doing something custom and bespoke every time. So you're not killing yourself on the services end. So that to me is truly the essence of being a SaaSpreneur.
Absolutely. The thing that I love about your example is that it's so simple. And a lot of people go, well, what about my rock star marketing or advertising skills as an agency?
Right.
And I'm like, dude, you just got to get over yourself, right? Because it's a little bit of tough love, but I've been through it. Right. I used to think, oh, but like our chops are so good. Why can't people see how valuable this is? Right. And the truth is, it wasn't that. It was just our model was broken. Right. Every time I took on a client, it was like the bespoke work took over. It was like a monster. It was just like, So, I was the only one that could do everything in our business. And then if I tried to train someone, that meant I had to carve time out, which means I wasn't selling or fulfilling. So the business suffered, and then I had to train this person up, and they wouldn't do as good of a job at the beginning because they're brand new and they're not me. And so it's just like this competing forces flying around everywhere, right?
Oh yeah.
So now what I train people on is how to build somewhat of like, I would call it like a lifestyle business around this, even though that's not all it's not the only thing you can do with it. There's several people who have made multi-million dollar businesses out of this, and some people have even sold it, right?
Oh yeah.
In an acquisition sense. So
absolutely, 100%.
You can go as small, as big as you want, but a lot of people, just to get out of that trap, that rat race trap of selling time or, a non-leveraged model, I say build up, just focus on 1 to 3 features. You just named one that you could just run with. And so if you're getting them into 3 features, you're talking about charging the business like $1,000 a month, closer to that, just for the software, because it's now handling all their inbound lead nurturing sources too, not just missed call text back, but the DMs they're not answering within 5 minutes. on their social profiles, the Google My Business profile chats that are going unanswered for days at a time, all the forms on their website that go to some unknown email address out there in the interweb stratosphere.
And all their customers know it, by the way, which is why no one likes filling those stupid things out.
Totally. And then, yeah, exactly. The website homepage chat that either, gets outsourced to, somewhere else on the planet for pennies on the dollar, or it's automated and people are like, I'm not talking to a robot. Right. So, but the whole thing is like, if you just solve the speed to lead problem, and there's many ways to do that using your software, that's an expensive problem that will put more money in these small businesses' pocket for a no-brainer cost of that. I'm talking about adding $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 more revenue just by responding to the leads that they're already getting quicker. Right? The phone calls, the inboxes, the form fills, like the website chats. That's it. If you just did that and you covered, so here's the lifestyle part of it. Cover enough bills for you to be like, whatever that is for you, whatever your personal overhead is, or your business overhead, and just do that. And then guess what? You have options. Okay. Now you can choose to do those creative projects that you really enjoy and uses your skills to the moon. Right. Or you can say, hey, instead of hiring more people, right, I have unlimited capacity in a smaller team environment. Or I just want to do this by myself, or me and my wife, or
a lot of optionality.
You have so many options, right? But the key is that you've got that leverage, and it builds your recurring revenue at 90 plus. The minimum would be 90 plus profit margin, right?
Easy.
Yeah. So percentage wise, it makes a ton of sense. And last time I checked, we're all humans. And last time I checked, you are a person. You're not a robot. Okay. So if you, the person, are not getting what you want out of your agency or your business, then this whole thing doesn't work for very long. You get burned out, you shut the doors, you might have the best intentions in the world, but your client results suffer, or your employees are unhappy, or there's no upward mobility to keep good employees. This solves so many problems. So I've just come to find that, like, it's such a simple solution, Shaun, but it's one that can literally change the lives of so many agency owners, their teams, their family's life, their clients, and all of the clients' employees' lives too, right? Yeah. So it's got a great ripple effect. So anyways, I'm a huge, huge fan of the SaaSpreneur model, and I'll do whatever I can and shout it from the rooftops and get as many people that's why I wanted to have you on today as one of our first
absolutely.
podcasts.
Yes. I think, some of the things that stand out there is, the simplicity. I think sometimes people think, well, it's simple, so thusly it must be not very valuable, right? But in reality, I think about it like this. Every business is going to have a certain amount of technology to exist, period, in the future. And the real question is just, how are they going to prefer to buy it, and who are they going to prefer to buy it from? And the way I like to think about it is, if I'm a local business owner today, I already operate local. So all my customers are local. So every single day I'm waking up and I'm thinking about people walking through my door, and I'm not like, hey, did you come from 6 states over? No, of course not. You came from the town that I'm sitting in 98% of the time. So I'm already thinking that way. A lot of the things I purchase are also local, right? Like, I even think like every dentist in every town has a van that drives up, probably from Patterson Dental. And Patterson Dental is in effect a big mega corp, but that's not how the dentist sees it. They see it as a person in a van who drives up. So their vendors are local, their customers are local. And so they're already in that local mindset. And so from there, what they're forced to do today, and I think that's the most important part, is buy this technology from afar if they have it at all. And that's not something that feels good, and it's not very comfortable. And for them to have to then think about everything else in their business. If let's say I am a dentist and one of those pieces of equipment goes wrong, I pick up the phone and I call someone local because they drive down and fix the problem for me. I want to do that with everything, including my software. And so really, honestly, I believe this is where we're gonna go in the future. And all of these business owners, this is the fun part about it. It's not an age thing. It's not an experience thing. It's not an education thing, because at the end of the day, if I'm a dentist, I make money when my hands are in the mouth of a patient. And that's the only time I make money. And if I take my hands out, money stops flowing. And so I have a lot of pressure on me to keep my hands in those mouths as much as possible. And so everything else has to be as easy and seamless and simple as possible. And so I'd really prefer it if all that technology I'm buying comes from somebody that if and when I need more of it, something goes wrong, I need help getting it going, I can just call you and you can come down and you can make it happen for me. And this is where I think in the future, all of the tech that is currently being bought at a distance using webinars and salespeople and this and that radically changes and becomes a local sale in a very, very big way. And honestly, that's what being a SaaSpreneur is all about for me. It's about helping you, wherever you may be, go out into your community and actually sell stuff that they're going to buy anyways, but they want to buy it from you. They don't want to buy it from Megacorp. They don't want to buy it from, XYZ.com thousands of miles away and sit on an 800 number when something goes wrong while they're literally watching the money flow out the door. They have angry patients. Why isn't Dr. Bob over here? Sorry, Dr. Bob's on the phone right now with the tech company because we can't get the technology to work. That doesn't fly. So ultimately, that's what being a SaaSpreneur is all about. And it sounds super simple, and to a great extent it is, and it just works. And what's funny is there's so many other people that sell stuff locally. Here's the big difference between us and them. It's just a higher margin product. So if the local salesperson of X, dental equipment, TV ads, radio station ads, newspaper ads, I don't know what ads, if they can sit and exist and make money, imagine with this product that is radically higher profit margins, you can too, right? And so that's really all we're talking about here is taking that same technology that they're going to buy anyways and having it bought from you. You're profiting off of it. You're scaling it. And honestly, the other big thing is you're not just selling them a tool, you're selling them a solution. So you're really going in and helping them make these tools do something that they really need them to do to affect an outcome versus just buying a tool that they don't know how to use anyways and getting frustrated and abandoning it.
Yeah. So it's like the way I describe it to people, it's more of a managed service, and you being you is more helpful than them calling some, multi-layered corporate giant who does not want to get on the phone with people, right? It's like they make it as hard as possible.
So hard.
Yeah, it's so hard. It's like anyone who's ever called like the cable company or like, whatever, it's just like, where you're going with this.
The worst.
So,
and everyone has that experience, right?
Yeah.
Press 1 for support. Press 1 again if you're really sure you want support. Now enter your mother's maiden name via the keypad and spin around 200 times and then wait 40 minutes. And then let's put you on the phone with someone who has no clue what they're doing. Like no one wants any of that, right? They just want to be like, they want your cell phone number. They want to be like, hey, come on down. Can you help me? Sure, I'll be right there. All that stuff. And the other great thing is when you get there, it's also about solution selling, right? So it's not just like fix this one thing, sell this one thing. It's also like, oh, well, now that we got this in place and it's working well, here's something else I can do for you. Here's something else I can do for you. And the other great thing is what you're selling them and doing for them is life changing. So like, I always love to tell the story. I have a local HVAC company. It's the only single business that I retain and I've sold. And, he went from 12 reviews on Google, a one-man band in a van. And now he's got like, I don't know, he had 13 trucks last time I asked him, but he's even bigger now than ever. He's got over 500 reviews. They stack up all the time. And he pays me $300 a month and has for like 6 years now. And I never talk to the guy. He never calls me. He never bothers me because it just works for him automatically. And it's so scalable, but he loves it because now he ranks higher in Google. He gets more customers through the door. I mean, he's grown his business tremendously off the back of, and in my case, it was one feature. It was reputation management. So every time he cuts an invoice, I send this very simple text that says, hi, this is Drew from Alpine HVAC. I just want to know how we did for you today. Here's a link that makes it easy. That's it. It hasn't changed in 6 years, and it just mints him money and it mints me money.
So you took the time to set that up one time, and for 6 years, he's been paying you monthly recurring $300 every single month. Yeah.
Yeah. And he never calls. He never says it doesn't work because all he sees is he sees new 5-star review, new 5-star review. No, sometimes he gets a 4-star review. But the reality is if you look, he does a great job for his customers. And the funny part about reviews is people always love to do all these tricky things like, oh, I want to ask him if they did a good job. And if I did, then I'll ask him, it's like on and on. And I always try to tell people, listen, people who hate you don't need your help to come burn you on Google. They all know where to come burn you now, right? So let's those people are already there. So, okay, cool. The people who just think you did an okay job, they're not going to do anything. So whether you ask them or not, but the people who you just rocked their world, the sad thing is they aren't necessarily just going to go review you. But if you ask them to, they absolutely will. So net, all you do by doing that is get way more 5-star reviews for all your people.
Yeah. And it's beautiful because if you ask them at their peak level of happiness, so that while the iron's hot, it's an easy yes, right? And you do it in the modality that they're used to. They're used to text message, texting is easy. So if you just click it and it opens up the prompt and they just go, he was great, fixed it, showed up on time, great price, great service, bam, that took you 30 seconds, right? Yeah, that's huge. So, and the other thing I tell people too is like, if you're thinking about this, and this sounds scary because you're not a technology person, it's like, it's just clicking buttons. Like if you can log into Facebook, you can set this up for people. It is so dang simple, right? And so you don't have to be a tech. I'm not a techie. I've sold so much of this stuff. It's crazy. And I joke that I'm a dumb caveman because I mostly am. So there you go. But the, the premise that I love to make this analogy of is that, if you sell the hole, not the drill, what you do is you're basically doing outcome-based selling. And so if you go into that person and say, hey, sign up for my software, it's only $300 a month. What does it do? Well, it sends a text message to your customers and begs for reviews. Does that sound good to a local business owner? The answer is no. Okay. You've understood this from the start, Shaun. It's one of the reasons why I love you. You totally get the small business challenges, right? The average small. Yeah. So you said, look, no, we don't need to do PPC. We don't need to do optimize your Google My Business profile. We don't need to do organic SEO, right? That's for people with a huge budget. Right. The way that you're going to compete is, do you have a good service, or do you take great care of your customers? He goes, yes. Cool. A lot of times the average small business does not, when they do a good job, the people who do the best job typically have terrible marketing. That's just kind of how it works, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so they need something that is a no-brainer at $300 a month that also gets them the outcome where they can compete and win, and it's a no-brainer, right? So the outcome he wanted was to be found more for a cost that's a no-brainer, and he doesn't want to have to think about it every month, and he hasn't for 6 years. So mission accomplished, right?
Yeah.
But he's also getting more visibility as his reviews rack up, and Google's saying, hey, this is such a consistent, strong signal that, yeah, his profile isn't optimized perfectly, and his organic SEO probably sucks, but guess what? The customers are happy, and guess what Google is in the business of? Getting people to come back. Yeah. So connecting, that's their end goal, right? So he's winning, you're winning, his customers are winning, and everybody's happy, right? So in that one example, right, if you just got a handful of those people, more of those people every month, and they stayed for 6 years, and you were operating at 90 to 99% profit margins, like how many of those do you need to make it a life-changing business where you can feel good about the outcome for the small business owner and the 13 trucks and the people in those trucks that he employs, right? That is life-changing stuff to me. I mean, there's so many people out there who would love to have that scenario in their lap, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So good stuff. Well, let me ask you this. So, the SaaSpreneur model, I'm in love with. We could talk for hours about that, and we'll have you back one day to talk about maybe some of the details. But can you give people sort of just a quick snapshot view of what's coming up that they can look forward to? Because I want for people to understand how far you've come, who've maybe never heard of HighLevel or who haven't stopped to hear all those cool stats I said at the beginning. But where do you see this heading? Like, let's say someone's listening to this 6 months, a year plus from now.
Yeah.
What do you sort of see it? Where do you see it going from here? Because you've grown so fast, so much. I think a lot of people are probably like, well, how many, where's the ceiling there? How much good can you do? How much saturation is there out there? Are we close to that saturation? Like, what do you guys see this going?
I always think those are the funniest questions in the world because it's such a massive market that's, we're not even close, first of all. So anybody who, I'm curious to see this 5 years from now, it'll be almost impossible to saturate the market. So that's that. There also, by the way, there's brand new businesses being formed every day. So if you go look at the stats, in fact, I think we're at all-time highs for new business formations. Now, as far as the product goes, though, where we're going is really simple. We started with the front door of the business, really focused on the marketing, and now we're moving into operations because really what we want to do is no matter what business you come across, we want you to be able to run that business for that customer end to end. And so, we're moving, whether it's invoicing and estimating and proposals, whether it's something like e-commerce or it's something like a POS system, in the coming years as we move along, that's exactly where we're going to head. So that way, no matter what that business is, you can say, oh yeah, we can actually run your entire business in this one app end to end. You don't have to look for other solutions. And so that's truly where kind of our future direction lies.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, there's like tens and tens, I think it's like hundreds of millions of small businesses just in the USA. Yeah. Right.
And again, every day, new businesses, I'm telling you. So even if if you weren't allowed to sell to any existing businesses, the number of new business formations, if you go look at it, it's in the millions every year. You could just feed right off of that.
Yeah. And just to give you guys some quick math breakdown, if you help like 200 businesses per year and you have monthly recurring revenue, you've got a 7-figure business with 90+% margins.
Easily. And you have a way higher net income than something like 90% of Americans today. So trust me, that right there is amazing. You don't have to stop there. So just heads up, no limiting factors, but right there, you're still crushing it.
Yeah. Speaking of some other top performers, your guys' live events are amazing. I'm heading to another one of them next week, and I feel blessed and honored to be invited to those things. And you guys have your summit coming up this fall.
That's right,
in October. Yeah. And so can you just maybe talk about the top end, what some people have been able to do too? Because I find that a lot of people don't take the time to really think about how good it could be if you really wanted to grow it.
Like, oh, sure. Right? So, I mean, we'll talk about this again this year. So last year, which is last October, it's been a while now. I think you said we'd gotten about 200 million in total overall SaaSpreneur sales. This year, I think we'll more than double that. And we have last year's quote was I think the biggest person was 10 million a year, and then it was 7. This year, I think again we'll more than double those people. And now the other fun thing is there's a lot more of them that are in the millions now. And then of course a lot of people are selling now. They're getting software margin exits. They're raising money now. They're getting software margin raises. So there's everything in between that you could imagine. So if you just tell me what kind of money you want to make, there's absolutely a model for you to do that. And so it's just incredible what is happening. And I just honestly think we're at the very beginning of this run. We have many more years before we, if ever, get to saturation. But certainly we're nowhere near today.
I love it. And all those numbers are largely just like the US, not even counting sort of the international.
It's true. We just started internationalizing. We're literally this quarter going international. We're rolling out multilingual across the app now. And so I think in very short order, we'll start to see this in other countries as well.
That's amazing, man. Well done. I've met a ton of these people, by the way, y'all, and I've talked to them personally. Everything Shaun is saying is 100% true. I know from personal experience, and I'm now friends with a lot of these people. So it's completely true. It's completely life-changing. It's changed my life forever. Personally, like we live a life that, I never dreamed I could have. So that's why I get emotional sometimes at these events when I see you guys in person and give you a big hug. And sometimes I cry, but
I cry.
But yeah. So, but it really is. And it was so hard to do before. And this gives you so much more leverage to do more things that you want too. Right? Like that's the other side of this is like the lifestyle side of it. I love having balance in my life. Like, making all my kids sports things, going down to the beach whenever we want, traveling well, eating well, staying at cool places, going to do cool things. I mean, we can pretty much do whatever we want with our time and the money that we earn. And so it's kind of my planting my flag in the ground and trying to let everybody, as many people know as I can, which is the reason why I started this podcast. Right. So anyways, I'm very honored to have you as one of our first guests. Won't be the last time we have you. And I look forward to seeing you next week.
Come back.
Yeah. Awesome. Cool. Well, thanks so much for your time, Shaun. I know you're super busy, man.
Anytime.
And we'll see you soon. We'll see you next week.
All right. Bye, everybody.